also ventured into the retail of an Italian fashion brand and managed its marketing and operations for many years. He has formed Funworks Incorporated and Success Options, which started as a publishing company and now offers learning and development in business, work, and life. Actually, I was able to have time with him recently when he invited me to a session with a motivational speaker, another speaker, but he spoke about morality, markets, and business, and also millennials. All right, so it is with distinct pleasure that we have invited, and please welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the Malacanang Press Corps, our guest, Mr. Francis Kong. Thank you, Francis.
Thank you. Good morning. Well, let me try to do something different. Since I see a lot of young people here, can I know who among you are the youngest from the press corps? That's false news. Okay, is there anybody, who's the youngest person here? I see a very young lady over there. Uh-huh.
I think the girl in Ruth and the two ladies.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. Okay, so you are so young, Mom. May I know your name, please? Your name? Tricia, you're so young. Does your mama know you're here? Okay. What's happening in the workplace right now can best be demonstrated with what I'm going to do. Tricia, I will challenge you with the world's #1 brands, and they dominated the market a couple of years ago. And let me see if you recognize any one of them. Are you ready for this? Tricia, you get a book from me for free. Is that okay for doing this? Okay. So here you go. Tricia, are you familiar with the following brands? Olivetti,
Sorry?
Olivetti,
No.
Olympia, Remington,
Yeah.
Underwood,
Yeah.
Smith Corona.
E.
What were they?
Brands. I'm sorry, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go home now. Well, for those of you who are not exactly young, what were they? Typewriters. That will, in one of the talks that I gave, one young person responded and she says, "Oh, I know what Olympia is." I said, "What is it?" And then she says, "It's a camera." No, that's Olympus. Somebody else says, "I know what Remington is. It's Medias." No, that's another brand. And so what happens right now is that in the business landscape now, you can practically talk about business with associating it with the millennials. And that is one place wherein we need to understand and how to define what it is that's happening now in the workplace. If you take a look around you, you can see that the country is a very young country. Our median age is what? 24 years old. And what I plan to present to you today is to understand where they are. First, I want to thank our secretary for inviting me over. It's such a privilege for me to be with you, and I would consider you colleagues whether you would accept that or not. I would first refer to the famous New York Times personality, celebrity superstar Thomas Friedman saying something like this: "A news article is designed to proclaim facts and happenings. A columnist is designed to provoke emotions." I am of the second part. I write a business column with the Philippine Star. And so we are either in the heat or light business. Light, because you are to illuminate people with facts that they need to know. Heat, because we need to provoke people, our opinions. We have to provoke people into certain actions. And I'm here to share with you the idea that any millennial today with a smartphone and a laptop is now a journalist and a reporter, and a critic, and a fashion stylist, and a photographer, so forth and so on. Now, I'd like you, ladies and gentlemen, to know where I'm coming from. I move in the area of business, and I speak and I train business people, whatever hierarchy they belong to in the food chain, corporate food chain. But I also speak to college and high school students all the time. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I fly to Bacolod and speak to about 3,000 young people in the school there. And I'm not talking about the millennials from the vantage point of sociology, but I'm presenting my observations from the business world's point of view as a columnist sharing opinion. We can hardly talk about the business landscape today without talking about the millennials. The median age, 24.4. We are a very young country. That's so much great resource there that is still yet untapped. Almost half the entire Filipino workforce now comprises millennials. But right now, never before in the history of humankind, when you find 3 generations of people working side by side inside their cubicle prisons. These are the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, and the millennials. Millennials, they're extremely technology savvy. Now, here's one thing you and I need to know. They want experiences now more than just stuff. They are restless and impatient. They want to work for business organizations today that offer an image of not being money-centric all the time, but they do participate in volunteer programs and they feel a tinge of pride belonging to that organization. They are extremely sensitive when it comes to their relationship with their managers and their team leads. They can quit their jobs anytime they want. They expect their bosses to be trustworthy. And they're brilliant. They get things done, but they get bored easily. Credit that to video games. Now, this is the biggest possibility that remains untapped, as that these young people can be the best entrepreneurs this country will ever see. In many business organizations, I see the same 3 common gaps happening. Number 1, skills gap. Educational institutions are not churning out graduates well equipped to take over the task, and that's why the moment they get on board on business organizations, companies will have to spend a lot of money retooling them, retraining them, and reconfiguring them so that they can work. Now, before we get into the case of the failing educational system, which may be unfair, my question now is, how do we equip the young people today with emerging skills that are not yet there, but the moment when they get on board, technology now will introduce new things. Number 2, what I find is the leadership gap. Leadership gap because senior tenured managers don't even know the mindset of the young people, and they use old ways, and they drive talented young people away. Top 2 reasons why talented young people quit. Number 1, they can't get along with their bosses, and number 2, the feeling that they are not appreciated. And number 3, and I think this is the biggest one, the values gap. Somehow, the modern day lifestyle has brought them to a point wherein certain important things are treated as casual and certain casual things are given and blown up with unnecessary importance. And this is why in most clientele of mine, the word malasakit now is very, very high in their corporate value scheme. But amazingly, one corporate value that is rising in prominence and importance is integrity as well. Here are the following traits. Number 1, the millennials today, they want authenticity. They actually appreciate raw videos and footages that can show blemishes and faults. Any video that you present that is too polished, they will immediately suspect that it has commercial transactions agenda behind it. Number 2, they appreciate genuine mistakes. It reminds them that you and I are all human. Number 3, they see the entire industry not only as a means to get money and things that can satisfy their immediate wants, but when they start working in companies that present them with long-term retirement benefits, it does not interest them at all. Now, before we get into the case of the young people for being impatient, ladies and gentlemen of the press, let me ask you one question. When we were in school and we want to do our research, where do we go? Library. What kinds of books do we have to pull off the shelves? Encyclopedia. We open 5 volumes, we can't find the answer. The next question now I'm going to ask Tricia is today, when you want to do research, where do you go? No, you go to coffee shop and you bring Google with you. And so within a few nanoseconds, you have your answer right away. So in terms of the corporate business compensation plan and all these things, we'll have to provide some immediate results. And when you make them wait, they don't have the patience for that. As a business person, my caution to the industry is that we cannot look at these young people today as consumers. We have to look at the young people today as creators. They have, by the tip of their fingertips, all the tools to create new things, and they are the ones that are causing disruptions in the business industry. This is why leaders need to update and upgrade their leadership skills, while the young people now have to be trained in terms of soft skills like behavior and conversation skills and the latest intelligence now, according to business gurus now, is what is called LQ. It's not lovers' quarrel. It is called likability quotient. Many of the millennials are angry, and they express their emotions. They're shifting their trust. One thing I have noticed among the young is that their trust on basic traditional institutions like church and schools and government is now shifting towards, for the first time. Guys, help me out. What are the usual warnings we get from our parents? Never accept any gift from a stranger. Do not go into a car with a stranger. Never enter the home of a stranger. And yet they go to Uber and they go to Airbnb. So trust shift now is from traditional institutions towards widely distributed market platform wherein transparency coming from reviews is more trusted than from the opinions from journalists, critics, editors, and the experts. What are the areas of improvement? As I share this with you, I am reminded myself as a parent of 3 young people then. Number 1, we need to entrust ourselves with a burden to
the need for having soft skills. So, what do you have any unsolicited advice to our president?
The one advantage I see him tapping on right now is a sense of authenticity image that the young perceive him to be. Like whatever he promised, he's doing it. And that strikes a big chord among the young people right now.
Yeah. He promised to end our problem with the illegal drugs within the 6 months of his presidency. Now he's saying he'll be doing it until 2022, until his last day in office.
I'm a person who understands business. You don't get result by means of an event. To get good result, you need process, and that's why process takes time. But at least the one thing that I've been hearing a lot of young people say, we were never even informed, and we did not even know how huge and how big and how wide the scope of that problem is until now. So if you are a business person with a business mindset, identifying the problem is already 50% of the solution. So I would rather still say that we got to be patient and wait for more results. And a lot of things will have to be challenged in the process.
Sir, do you think there's a need for the president to change the way he speaks, the way he chooses his words?
Words are extremely powerful. And you and I need to understand the moment our words leave our mouth, they're no longer ours. We have to be accountable. But we cannot change our words that will make us detached from our personality and our humanness and our real self. We can, however, choose words that will not compromise on its integrity, but perhaps say it in a more palatable way that people can understand, and so that you lessen the risk of being misunderstood. So communications is key. You guys know that very well. An issue can be neutral, but with the use of words, you can make it explosive or you can make it passive. And so, I do agree that perhaps in communications, well, as a communicator myself, I also have to understand when I started speaking, I'm of the Chinese background. It's so difficult to first think in Chinese and then translate that into Filipino and then in English. And I think being somebody from the southern part of the country, he will have to go through that process also. So I would rather just give him the benefit of the doubt. And I would say that as long as what you say aligns with what you do, then that for me spells authenticity.
Henry Uri?